This DJNTV show is sponsored by DJ Event Planner, Electro Voice, DJ Trivia and DJ Bingo, ProX Direct, NLFX Pro, Promo Only, Odyssey Cases, Perfect Portals, JMOZ Lighting, Instant DJ Requests, and our DJNTV Insiders. This is John Young from DJNTV. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to DJNTV and Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. Now introducing the one and only Ben Stowe.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. This is week 2 of the... What season would this be? Is this like our 4th? 17th?
Oof.
We started in 2014, so this would be like almost 7 or 8.
I know at one point we counted the shows and we've done over 100.
Yeah, well,
I don't know where we're at now.
Oh, I would think we're well over 200, but yes. So this is season number, and we are happy to be back with episode 2 of that season. Yay! Tonight, Ben, I've got questions lined up.
All right.
And this is going to be...
I love these shows. Honestly, I love hearing what people come up with, and some of them are great questions, like, meaningful. Deep. And some of them are just great questions, So
the questions we've got for tonight are questions that people have sent in over time because we've asked a number of times to have questions sent in. If you've got a question you'd like us to use, please message that to me or get that to me one way, shape, or form, email, messenger, whatever. Or you can put it in the chat, and I will find these in a chat. And that's generally where they come, but they will be like 4 months later. Somebody will be like, hey, here's a question. Oh, that works. I got a fly in here tonight. So let's jump right into it because we've got 10 we need to get through, and we want to make sure we get through all of those tonight. So Ben, if you're ready to go, we'll take off.
That's 5 minutes a question. All right,
bring it on. Okay. So the first one is about projectors. Somebody was looking for what you would recommend for a projector to use for gobos at weddings, and what things you would probably look for in a projector to really be able to be competent for doing gobos at weddings.
Well, first thing I'll say is that on this very platform, one of those many hundred shows we did, Michael Anderson and I did a show where we really covered this topic fairly exhaustively, as I recall. And the top 3, if you will, I'm sort of abstractly picking a number here, would be brightness certainly is a concern. Has to be bright enough. Many times gobo projectors are being used at a significant distance, which leads us to the next 2. And the other is resolution. Gobos tend to have a lot of fine detail, and when you are projecting from a distance, we're not using the full area of the projectors. So the area that you're using to project the image might be only a small part of the image the projector is capable of producing, and that's due to the size we want it to be when it gets to the wall. So having a low resolution projector is going to produce a lot of big blocky detail in that, as opposed to a nice fine detail. So I would say at least a 1080. And I didn't say a number for brightness. Sorry. I would say probably 5,000 lumens minimum, so 5,000 lumen, 1080p or 1080i, it doesn't matter, but 1080 resolution. And then the last thing would be contrast ratio. And now pretty much all projectors are moving towards laser, which have a really good contrast ratio, like add a 0 to what the lamped models used to have. So it's very, very, very good. And the reason for that is you don't want a big gray box where your gobo image is not. So we only want to see the image and just that. So that'd be my top 3.
So have projector technology changed? You mentioned the laser side of it. Has there really been any other major changes in the last 3 years or so?
Probably not in 3. I mean, certainly, like all things, we're seeing that constant, steady march towards better, higher resolution. There are 4K models now, and I don't know that that's necessary for a gobo, but that's really what we're seeing. Is we're seeing the change in the light source being laser, and we're seeing a change in the intensity. Excuse me, the resolution. Just projectors are just much better bang for the buck now. Like computers or any other technology piece, really.
Talk just a little bit about the keystoning and how that would be used in a projector for gobos.
Oh, excellent point. That would definitely, if I expanded my list to 4, I think that would certainly have to be on there. And there are a couple different types of keystone. There's vertical keystone like this, and then horizontal keystone, which is the opposite. But then there's also 4-corner keystone, which many projectors have, and that allows you really to kind of grab a corner. And for example, if we're not projecting directly straight on, we're going to have some warping and some keystoning of the image, where the further part of the image is going to be a little bit bigger than the nearer part, so it's going to cause that image to skew, sort of a trapezoid shape, if you will. So yeah, keystoning would definitely be very important as well.
Does the lasers give us a brighter image? Thinking back, 10 years ago, if we were going to buy a projector, a 3500 lumen was kind of a big one in that upper end of the prosumer type line, however you look at it. Have the lasers allowed them to get brighter?
Well, I'm going to give you 2 contradictory answers here. Lumens are lumens and lumens are not lumens. So that really is a deep rabbit hole that we don't have time with the other questions we have today. But I think Michael and I may have covered it, but otherwise do some reading on that, and you'll see where there's different types of lumens, ANSI lumens, and then whether you're talking about colors or white or whatever. There's different ways that they do that, but for the most part, that doesn't have much to do with the imaging, the light source, as it were. So I would say no, lasers haven't really allowed us to get brighter. They do have allowed for these obscenely good contrast ratios, like 300,000 to 1, and much richer colors. So I guess there's that.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's keep moving through here. Next question. We're going to be kind of
That's goodness, because projectors, honestly, I have to confess, projectors and video, my least favorite topic.
Yeah, but you do well. You do well.
We just got that out of the way. We just move right on.
You do well with that. So the next one is, we're talking about video. How could we run video uphill?
Wait, we're still on video? I just said it was my least favorite topic. That's why I was going to stop it now.
Okay, so it's time for the magic little.
I don't dislike it. I just like it the least. Time. Audio is my favorite. Lighting, my next favorite. Video
crystal ball time. The great Ben.
Okay, all right.
Looking into the future with lighting, the DJ. Is there anything that you have seen recently, or or have inkling of, that's going to kind of change the game when it comes to lighting for most mobile DJs?
No, I would say nothing as revolutionary as LED. Those are things that come along once in a lifetime. Kind of like the invention of the iPhone, so to speak. So certainly that's going to continue to change. There's the new ILS from Chauvet. Those fixtures starting to land now, where you have kind of an integrated control system within an ecosystem. But I think all the huge milestones have probably been met, with LED and with battery and wireless DMX, those sorts of things. I think we're just going to see sort of incremental changes as we go. Now, there are things that will replace LED as a light source eventually. But to my knowledge and to my thinking right now, this is off the cuff, right? I have to just sort of think from off the cuff here. But I can't think of anything that's just going to be absolutely, oh my gosh, groundbreaking,
How about in the world of LED? If we look at the advances they've made in the LED world, are we looking at some potential major changes or major improvements that might be coming down the line in that LED, or have we kind of gotten to the point where price versus quality of the LEDs that they're using, we were kind of in that sweet spot?
I think LED is going to continue to mature. It's so widely deployed now, though. We have LED as principal lighting in buildings and, for things like street lights and all kinds of places now where LED is kind of the primary dominant light source. So I think LED is probably approaching, maturation. But that's where, again, that next generation thing comes. I've heard all kinds of things, organic and other, but I think, certainly it's going to continue to to improve. And we've gotten very good at the different color mixing topologies, RGBAL and RGB AW and all kinds of different things like that. But I think right now probably we're battling the supply chain, which I lied earlier. Video is not my least favorite topic. Supply chain is my least favorite topic. Where just getting chips and things now, in some hands, that's actually forcing some design changes, which is good. Where manufacturers are saying, instead of redesigning this whole legacy product or this whole existing product to meet the available chips, we'll just make something entirely new. So. But anyway, my crystal ball is a little foggy after the last couple of years, so it's very possible I'm overlooking something.
Well, we'll have our 2023. We'll get back to with the NAM and other shows. They'll all be back, hopefully, to the level of what they were prior to, and maybe we'll get to see some new things there.
Well, I think these things that we've encountered, COVID and the shutdown and the supply chain disruptions we continue to see, all of these things in the time and on the face of it are bad, but they also are all very fertile grounds for creating new things, whether it's new technologies, new products, new methods. So good things always tend to come out of these things. And I guess we'll just have to see what happens there. Right now, we're still just very much living in the not so good part.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the next one. Next question is about speaker cables. Someone was asking if gold-tipped speaker cables in the pro audio world, if that is something like it is in the home theater world.
I'm going to say no. I think that there's an immeasurable difference, particularly when we're talking about something like a high amperage, like a loudspeaker. And I've seen speaker cables that are like $80,000. Who am I to argue that but I'll tell you this, in the pro touring realm, that's not what we're worried about. We're worried about good conductivity, reliability, those sorts of things. But the conductive difference between, gold and nickel or silver or whatever is it's not going to make a meaningful difference, I don't think. Yeah. I do think there are things that you should be a lot more concerned about. The construction of the cable, the quality of the build, things that lead to the propagation from end to end in the cable, the 20, 30, 100 feet between the tips. I think that's where it really matters. I think having a gold tip on, one conductor or even two, I'm sure that there's a measurable scientific difference in the conductive properties. That I know for a fact. Whether or not it matters, whether or not that translates to a meaningful difference in your sound, I don't think so.
So really, the quality of the wire, and in regards to that, you're coming to kind of gauge and makeup of the wire as the big things?
Absolutely. I think that particularly when we get into something like, now when we say speakers, many speakers today are active for DJs, certainly. So we're not talking about a speak-on cable with, a couple of large conductors, although that is important when we're talking about passive speakers. The size of the conductor does matter. We get into loss within the cable, and that's loss is relative to the load being driven. In terms of percentage wise, if we have a 4 ohm load and a 1 ohm loss in the cable, which would take a lot of cable, but that's a 25% loss or a 20% loss in your drive. So I think we're talking about XLR cables. We're talking much more about very low amperage signals where you can go very, very long distances, 5, 6, 7, 800 feet. But there, the properties of having the signal, propagated well on a balanced cable, having good, precise, regular, consistent twists, good shielding. Talking about bad cables just makes me ill.
Yeah. It does. It is pretty moving.
But the things that allow our signal to get from the origin point to the destination point as close to what we sent as possible, that's what's important.
Excellent. Question. Next one. This one, I think you might be able to do this the best by getting a little technical and maybe going a little deeper on this particular question. What is the difference between gaff tape and duct tape?
Oh goodness!
This is there's an easy answer, and that's not the one I'm after with what I was referring to. When you could go a little more technical, because you guys have designed or built or investigated and come up with your own NLFX?
Actually looking, I'm pretty sure I have gaff tape in my office here somewhere.
I know I've got every tote and every show is gaff tape, but nothing close to me either.
Some in my bedroom, and as weird as that sounds, but
that I was actually going to ask, is it still there? And I guess you just answered that.
Yeah, see, we talked about that one other show.
Yeah.
I don't ask me why it's in the bedroom, because it has nothing to do with what you're thinking it might. But basically, in a nutshell, there's a couple of things that we'll talk about. Both of them are cloth-based tapes, but that's about where the similarities end. Duct tape, it's actually kind of got its nickname duct tape for its water repellent nature. It's got that shiny backing, kind of a vinyl-y feel to it, whereas gaff tape tends to be much more matte. And again, we don't want to reflect light. We want to hide our cables. But I think the biggest differences are in the adhesives used. Gaff tape's designed to not leave residue on floors. Now, certainly all gaff tape is not created equal. I firmly believe that our gaff tape is among, if not the best gaff tape you can buy. I've yet to have anybody who uses it tell me they don't like it. So if you haven't used it, give it a try, and maybe you could be the first. But we worked very hard on it. We had some bumps in the road where we had some bad batches and changed formulas and continue to refine the process. And now we've got what we think is an absolute winner, and we've left it alone for about a decade. It's been a really awesome formula. But, the things that we were looking for when we engineered that was, that it's going to come off the cables and come off the floor without leaving goo, without, reacting to the plasticizers in the cables or the finishes on the floor, and just come up at the end of the night and get thrown away, and that's the end of it, whereas duct tape's not designed for that at all. And anybody who's to put duct tape on any cord knows you're going to have goo left over, and it's just the most, frustrating experience trying to get all that off. So now, just to say, that is not to say that all gaff tape's created equal, and neither is all duct tape, but those are the general things.
So when you guys were doing your experimenting and things, was the ability to rip the tape, is that something that is a variable that can be adjusted and changed from the different ones you were looking at?
Absolutely. Basically, gaff tape is simple and complicated all at once. There's three primary parts. There's the fabric, which is just fabric. It's specially designed fabric, but it's just a fabric until you put a primer and an adhesive on it. And then now you have a tape. And so, we had some early problems with reactions between the primer and the adhesive, and caused delaminating and, hard lessons learned, but one of the other things too was making sure the fabric and the primer mated well, because we had very specific things we wanted the fabric to do. We wanted it to tear easily, but we wanted it to also be strong, only tear when you want it to tear, but then work with the primer and adhesive. So yeah, I think that, you could probably buy a variety of different gaff tapes. We believe me, we bought all the competitors' stuff and we tried them all, and what do we like, what don't we like, what can we do better? And I think you could do the same, and you could probably go get a bunch of gaff tapes. Some of our customers have done fun experiments where they, put gaff tapes on the wall to see which would last the longest, and this and that. And, one of the things, of course, the story, one of the things I did was I put it all over my wife's hardwood floors right before Thanksgiving. So I knew there'd be a lot of traffic on it, and I knew it would be on these hardwood floors, and I knew that I would surely die if this formula did not work out well. And as you can see, I'm here, so it worked out fine.
Excellent. For somebody asked about the tape. It's their Platinum Series tape, and I put the link into the chat, so it should be showing up on all the different chats, so you can go check it.
Perfect. Thanks, John. Yeah, if you just go to NLFXpro.com and type in gaff, you should see it. We have it
Pops
in
right
2-inch, 3-inch, and 4-inch in black.
If we'll just add this one in there to clean your XLR cables. If you've got some gunk on it, what's the best way to clean that?
I've typically found Goo Gone works the best, and then I'll try to clean it again with just some water after that, get any chemical residue off there. But that's kind of been my go-to.
Okay, excellent.
Somebody might, listen, I learn from people all the time. So viewers, if you've got something that works better, I'm all ears.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure if somebody has something, they'll throw it in there. So excellent. The next question, NLFX Backpacks. Those we've talked about, we've done shows on what's in and what they are. Somebody was asking if there's going to be another run of those at some point in time in the future.
Well, they're always being made because we as a staff use them, and I find that mine last between 2 and 3 years under normal travel conditions, which is 100,000 miles a year. So we're always making them and keeping them around. We just don't make a lot of them. Uh, I guess if people want them, I think the thing to do would be to message us and let us know, and we'll kind of see where we're at. Get enough of them that makes sense to make a quick batch, because usually we just have a handful around for the staff. So yeah, you can still get them. Short answer.
And we should probably make that some sort of a thing we do this fall where we can get people who, get a bunch of people that are interested, because then it's a lot easier to print 20 instead of 10.
Yeah, we never intended these to, be a public item, but we obviously we love them. They're it's just an amazing backpack. They do what we need it to do, right? For those of us that are on the road doing shows, and obviously you took notice of that, and we just, we love you so much, we just couldn't not let you have it.
Yeah, and both Lori and I have.
It was meant to be a staff exclusive, but we obviously had to open that up to our friends.
They are a very good backpack, that's for sure. Okay.
I think a guy real well uses one. I think it's you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think I've got more pictures of my wife using it than I do because I'm the one taking the pictures. But hey, you
got to be careful with that, because I took a picture of a couple of the women that work for us. They were in the airport, and there was 3 of them walking in front of me, and they all had backpacks, and I thought it was a cool picture, so I took a picture. And then I got accused of taking pictures that are of their
backside.
Backpacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
but.
Yeah, but is exactly right.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, listen, you guys don't understand, right? Like, I mean, those memes where there's something there's like a, maybe a beautiful woman in the picture, and then there's something else, and did you notice the something else? Yeah, I'm the guy that noticed the something else, and don't get me wrong, I was just saying I'm happily married, so thank you, my dear. I mean, when you got a ridiculously hot wife like that,
and who's delivering ice cream.
Ice cream. Oh, Baskin Robbins. All right.
Well, you're really styling tonight.
Second show back, and I'm getting ice cream. This is working out pretty well.
This is good. This is gonna be a good season. Good season.
I guess the moral of the story is, be careful when you post pictures of your wife with a backpack.
That's yeah. Point. Yep, understood there. So the next question, jumping to that one, if a person's going to be trying to do sound around an outdoor space, like a picnic or something that's in a 200 by 200 space is what they had said. It could be a city park. It could be a large, it's about an acre is what you're looking to cover with sound. What's the best way to do that in this wireless world we live in?
Well, I think there are 3 things that came to mind. One is you have to cover the area. So the wireless is irrelevant for a moment. The loudspeaker has to be capable of covering the area you wish to cover, or you have to have enough of them. So I think that's number one. Looking at the coverage pattern, looking at the design of the device. Is it a column array? Is it a point source loudspeaker? Then I think the second thing is, when we say wireless, are we talking about battery powered as well, or just wireless signal propagation to the speaker? And of course, one of the most watched shows we have is how to make my speakers wireless. Which gets into the radio side. When we start talking about things like battery power, obviously the number of speakers that are available to us to look at the engineering for sound coverage, that number goes down. We've ruled out all the non-battery powered speakers. So that becomes a little bit more of a challenge. And of course, when you battery power something, many times what they do is these are less powerful devices, which leads to longer battery time, right? So in other words, engineering is a series of compromises, and we have some things that are sort of diametrically opposed here. So, but I guess if we can leave the battery part out of it, then the options become much greater. You can use things that are regularly in your arsenal. You just have to figure out a way to power those devices. And that leads to another set of concerns, like getting power there over a long distance. And we did a show on that. We talked about volt drop, things like that. So, in other words, it's difficult for me to just say, well, if you just do these things, you're good. You know, I think too, going back to number one, the sound coverage, we have to think about what is the level of expectation. You know, just this afternoon, I was meeting with some friends at our local arena. We were talking about some upcoming things, and we were all kind of talking about, you know, a Slayer Lamb of God show, you know, and the stresses that puts on a PA, as opposed to, you know, I've got Disney Junior coming up where they have put a cap, nothing above 98 dB. You know, I'm like, oh, hallelujah. The PA is just going to, you know, cruise through that. So I think if you're, you know, if you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to do this acre lot or this 200 by 200 lot or whatever it is, and I just need speech reinforcement, you know, that has a very high crest factor. You know, the SPL expectation is probably something in the high 70s or low 80s. You know, that's very different in terms of the demand on a PA than if you say, I want to do a rock show wirelessly over an acre. I'm going to say that's probably not possible.
Sure.
You know, or practical, certainly not practical. You know, and going back a minute to my wife, who I do absolutely adore, and she just brought me ice cream. So what's not to love? But it's pistachio ice cream. So I have a feeling I'm going to be choking on pistachios all show. So viewers, if I just start choking,
call upstairs to his wife and quick Heimlich.
No, it's just, you know how it is. You get like the sort of pieces of the, you know, but I can't not eat it.
Oh yeah, of course, because otherwise it gets soupy and then you have to drink it, and that's just not right.
It's ice cream, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be consumed properly. So the next one is, they were asking a best way to test Duracell batteries, and I don't think the Duracell was probably the big thing, but I guess what would you, for testing batteries in this day and age, what would you recommend for devices for that?
Well, before I answer that, I'll just say I was thinking about this as you were asking the question. I was just thinking about how weird it is to be on YouTube watching some guy eat ice cream, but then I thought about all the stuff my kids watch on YouTube, and this is hardly the weirdest thing you'll find. So
that is true. That is true.
Maybe we just need to do more of this. Like, we'll be bigger than the Kardashians.
Well, the only way to make it better would be to then like have Brian Red in a corner doing reactions, facial reactions to what we're doing. You know, where he's just like
for that.
He's just like
do like kamikaze ice cream tasting. You know, like some of those weird flavors that you don't expect. You know, like, you know. Well, no, wait, I'm not even going to talk about it. So how do you test batteries? I think that for me, the simplest thing is just a multimeter, you know, because it does so many things. I pretty much always have one around me. You know, we can test continuity, we can test impedance, we can test, you know, amperage, some will test temperature, and it will test voltage. So if we take let's just say a Duracell AA alkaline battery, fully charged, should have a voltage of approximately 1.5. The important thing too, though, is to know what your voltage should be. So like a NiCad, you know, typically is 1.2. You know, a fully charged NiCad is still not going to be 1.5, and that's, you know, that matters, right? There are also battery testers you can get. Some have a little needle gauge that will sort of give you a range of good to bad, and it's basically telling you how close to 1.5 it is, basically. Others have like a stoplight, you know, green, yellow, red. Remember back in the day, Duracell used to put them on the battery. You squeeze the thing, and it would show up on the side. But for me, it's a multimeter because it's a very simple, quick test. You know, how much voltage is that battery showing? Now, you know, again, I think we did a show on batteries, and we talked about the different types of batteries and how they run and how to store them, and, you know, different things like that. Some have kind of a tapered life, whereas others go die, you know? So that makes things a little bit more complicated like that. But yeah, I'm going to say the multimeter is probably just, everybody should have a multimeter, and everybody should know how to use a multimeter, at least in the simplest of terms. I can't tell you how many times during the course of a week, if I'm helping a customer troubleshoot an issue, I say, do you have a meter? So it's a very handy tool to have.
For touring acts and such, that you guys are obviously using some batteries for your rigs. Are you using rechargeable batteries? Or are you using alkaline? Or what kind of batteries? Maybe not so much the brand, but the technology behind the batteries. What are you using?
Well, both. And first of all, we don't test them. If in doubt, we just chuck it, you know. I mean, I know that's wasteful, but, you know, you're talking about 40 cents for a AA battery. So the lead vocal microphone has 80 cents worth of batteries in it. We're not even thinking about that.
Sure.
You know, they're getting paid $200,000 to sing that night. Nobody wants to hear that we were skimping on the batteries. You know, just not okay. So for the most part, we use alkaline like Procell, but now there are more and more battery technologies that are being designed for equipment specifically, and you know, particularly, you know, lithium ion, lithium polymer, that sort of thing, where these batteries will give you more information. You know, for example, some wireless mics will show you the length of time left on the battery, not just a fuel gauge. You know, it's half full, but they'll say you have 6 hours left on this battery.
Wow.
You know, these smart batteries are, you know, so in that case, it kind of makes more sense to do that. In all cases, I prefer to use equipment that at least has two options. If I'm using rechargeables, I still want to know that I have the ability to use an off-the-shelf alkaline, just in case something goes wrong with the charging process. You know, because again, the show must go on, right?
Yeah. Excellent. Next question. Carts. This is actually one that MJ and I were talking about, I think, a couple of weeks ago off camera. But is there anything new in the cart world? What's the best cart out there right now that a person could get into if money's not really much of an option or an object?
Well, money's not an object. I mean, probably something from Wayne Enterprises. You know, I'm sure they, you know, make the Batman cart or something that, you know, I don't know. But, you know, I don't know that I have a great opinion on this. I probably default to Rock and Roller. You know, they've been serving the entertainment industry for a long time, but there are tons of other options from Gator and Onstage and Crane and, you know, all kinds of other companies. I guess for me, I keep coming back to what's been comfortable, which has been Rock and Roller. By and large, their track record's really good, and they've certainly had some bumps. You know, they had some frame problems that, you know, they worked through. They had some wheel problems. You know, manufacturing can be a challenge. I guess I just haven't seen others that haven't had problems either. You know, there were, I guess I don't want to pick on anybody. There was a manufacturer that came out with a cart that was basically a direct copy of the Rock and Roller, except it was built way worse, and they were just terrible. You know, and customers would ask, well, what about that? And we're like, nope. It's garbage. So I don't know. That's not a very helpful answer to viewers. I know I haven't really invested the time to give a thorough review. I see people post things online that they've got this cart and they love it, or they've got that cart and they love it. And I think that there's probably a lot of room for interpretation on all of these things.
Some of the early carts that we had inflatable tires, are they still doing inflatable tires on carts, or has it really gone to the no flat type tires?
Again, that depends on the manufacturer, but certainly Rock and Roller's doing the you know, the R-Track no flat tires. And I guess, you know, to that end, I can say we've got 3 or 4 of them in our warehouse and we use them all the time, and our tech department's using them and we beat the daylights out of them. So, you know, when I see one that's really been beat up, I know that it's probably really been beat up. You know? I mean, I know we put ours through dragging it through the snow and, you know, gravel and whatever. But again, I think there's a lot of carts out there, and I just have not invested the time to make a real scientific study of, you know, how they performed under what conditions. And that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to take these carts and do it, you know, the same load, the same conditions, you know, and measure those results somewhat scientifically to really make a factual statement of this is the best. Otherwise, everybody's speaking of their own personal experience, and there's a lot of room for difference there, you know?
For sure.
I mean, this cart's never failed me. Well, good. I mean, I hope it doesn't. But what does that mean to, you know, Joe Schmo that's going to put 4 times as much on it and, you know, drag it through a pile of broken glass or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there are definitely variables and even within the same lines. I mean, over the years, I've had 10, 12 Rock and Roller carts because we use those as a multi. And some of the models I absolutely love. Some of them are like, oh. So, yeah, it's really, I guess one of those things you got to do your research and try them out where you can.
Well, and like I said, Rock and Roller's gone through some manufacturing changes too, where they, you know, I think they changed plants, I think they changed countries, and you know, and they definitely have had some issues. You know, they've had some, but they've always taken care of them. You know, they've sent replacement carts, they've sent replacement frames or wheels, and they stock replacement parts for them too. So again, they haven't done anything to where I don't feel comfortable selling them. I do, and they've just kind of consistently served the industry, but that does not by any means mean that I'm saying they're the best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying I haven't really done the math.
Yeah. All right, let's continue on here. Our next question. Is it true that snot can freeze in your nose in the winter in Bemidji?
Well, that's not really a question.
No, that really was one. Again, we get stuff sent in, and I hold on to these things like they're gold.
Gold. I see what you did there. Yeah, gold snot. All right, so no, I don't know that it freezes in your nose, but it will certainly freeze right as it gets out of your nose. You can have, it can definitely be, if you have no hygiene whatsoever, for sure, it can be frozen all over your face. I tell you this, if you take a shower in the morning and walk outside with wet hair, it will freeze without a doubt. And probably a story our viewers don't want to hear, but those are probably the ones they do want to hear. So, 100 years ago, I was a high school wrestler, and our school was 3 buildings that were connected by underground tunnels because of the cold weather. The problem was our wrestling locker room was in one building, and our wrestling room was in another building. Old school, and they just put stuff where they could, and it was really poorly planned and conceived. And to cut down on crime and vandalism and all that, they locked the tunnels at night. So we would leave wrestling practice and have to walk outside between buildings, and it was a good stretch, 300-400 feet probably between buildings, through a parking lot and whatever. And we of course were absolutely soaked to the bone. It's what you do. You crank the temperature up in the wrestling room and you sweat and try to lose some weight. On average, I would lose about 8-9 pounds in a practice, so approximately a gallon of sweat. And every piece of clothing we had would freeze to our bodies. It would start to crunch, including our underwear. So everything freezes in Bemidji. So happy to report we built a new school, and they have a wrestling locker room and a wrestling room that are mostly connected now. And of course, way too late for me. But, moral of the story, pretty much everything will freeze. But I've never had snot actually freeze in my nose.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see the next one. So when do you think we can expect? It's another crystal ball one to start seeing new gear released, similar to what we had in the pre-COVID times.
Well, remember when I said supply chain was my least favorite topic?
Exactly. And I'm glad that we had one for you so you could really get there and say yes. I feel like we're starting to catch up more and more. I'm checking on ETAs of things, and manufacturers are saying, oh, that's landing next week, or that's here, I wish we were catching up better in our cables, but we're trying. We've Neutrik being out of connectors a few times has made that a challenge. But as far as the new things, I would say we'll start to see things start to roll. I think we'll see some new product releases next spring at NAMM. Again, I don't think we're going to see anything groundbreaking or earth-shaking for maybe a year or two. But I think we will see things. I don't think it will be a very clear open the floodgates and here's everything new. I think it'll be pretty staggered, for example, Shure is still putting dates for like next summer for wireless systems, production systems. So tough to release new stuff when you can't ship what you make now. Sure.
I think they've got to work through that. But I think we will start seeing things here probably incrementally. We're going to see a new product release from Electro Voice next month. So we're going to see things here and there. It's just not going to be the floodgates, Now, I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows, things can change. We got a couple of questions that have popped in here from some of the viewers tonight.
Hopefully none of them are about frozen underwear.
No, but somebody asked about short throw projectors. Your thoughts on a short throw projector when we were talking about gobos with weddings?
Well, short throws are great when you don't have to go a long distance. But for gobos, I don't think they're all that great of a choice because you do have to be very close to the image. They're not designed for the way we typically use gobos. Short throw projector is going to be great for things like slideshows, video projection, where you've got a short distance between the screen and the wall, maybe, whatever. But I think for gobos, that's going to be tougher.
Okay. So where would you, short throw pretty much for music, like you doing it for video only, like music videos and slideshows, and that's pretty much the extent?
I think so. Or corporate work, and corporate work pays well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Next, it's sort of like I always talk about speakers, and I say have the right rig for the gig, have the right projector for the rig. Or in the upper pro level projectors, you have swappable lenses, so it can be a short throw today, a standard throw tomorrow, and a long throw the day after that. But that there's sometimes the lenses for those things cost more than a low cost projector. So maybe you just want to have a couple different projectors too.
Yeah, and they can, if somebody has questions, they can call you up and say, Ben, this is my situation.
Absolutely, yeah. Myself or Katie or Tanisha or Linnea or anybody in the office, Phil, whoever, we're all there to help. So
excellent. Next question: are there options to get 90-degree connections on wires? Specifically, they had made reference to, I believe I saw in there. I just copied a couple of notes on it. I think they were talking about their XLR wires. They wanted to have a 90-degree on that. Coming out of their case or something to that effect. I mean, if they don't...
Yeah, you can go right to our website and you can type in PSM and it will give you two options, our standard Platinum Series mic cables and also options with right angle connectors. We can also customize those right angle connectors to go in directions Neutrik did not intend them to go. We can custom machine those. And of course, we have our Sidewinder series, which is unfortunately not shipping near as fast as we like. We finally caught up with the April orders, but... we're digging out like every other manufacturer, we're fighting our way through the supply chain. But that's another option where you have almost 360-degree rotation available to you.
Yeah, that would definitely be a nice little feature to have.
Yep. So you can go on our site and type in PSM as in Platinum Series mic, and you'll see a couple options there, or you can type in Sidewinder. Just be advised, if you get a Sidewinder, your wait time will be a little bit longer.
Is there a 90-degree speak-on connection out there?
There is a 90-degree speak-on connection.
Okay. Somebody had asked about that the other day.
PowerCon connection, though.
Okay. I saw that. I think it was a speak-on is what they were talking about, is a 4-connector speak-on. And it's like...
Yep, there is a right angle NL4.
Excellent. I think we made it through our questions, and our time is just about up.
Well, I'll be darned. Look
Excellent.
at that. Huh.
Excellent. So wonderful. Thank you, Ben, for going through that and being a good sport and watching your ice cream melt.
It's actually it's doing pretty good because it's September in Bemidji, so it's
the lake will be getting some frost over next week. It'll be great.
Man, we got down to 34 the other night.
Wow, we didn't quite get that, but yeah, it's.
I'm not ready for it, viewers. I'm not for it. I'm not here for it at all. I like warm weather. I'm struggling with how fast winter has come. I mean, we still have green grass and still have leaves on the trees, but it's September 13th. We should not have near frost conditions.
Yeah.
That's not okay. I'm not viewers. I'm not doing okay.
This is October, and that should be an October type of weather.
I heard rumor that there's a group in Hawaii that's looking to maybe have fly me down and come do a presentation and some training. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, look, I'll do it for free. All right, never mind. You know what? Just get me out of here.
Just go. Let's go. Take it during this night, right?
And it's September. We've had 2 football games. It's not Halloween. It's not Thanksgiving. I'm not doing okay, people. Not doing okay. I'm not ready to see Christmas decorations. I'm not ready to see Halloween. No, Rachel Lynch. I love Rachel Lynch. You know this, right? But she sent me a picture of what she had done in her house with Halloween decorations, and I nearly blocked her. I'm like, that's it.
Stop.
It's way too early. And that was weeks ago. I wasn't even recently. That was like September 1st. I'm like, no.
You'd be the only person who would block Rachel.
But you know what? I'd unblock her because she's such a great person. I think a lot of people know her for what she does for gear videos and things. But I've really enjoyed getting to know the personal side of her, and she's really a good person. I think she honestly only likes me because of my cat. So I have to supply regular pictures of the cat, but whatever it takes. I mean,
Funny. Well, thank you guys for being with us tonight. Up next is Howie and the crew. They're going to be in the... No, excuse me, tonight. It's Tuesday night. My nights are off. DJNTV.com/chill. Howie and Brian.
Speaking
and
of great people, like, what a heart of gold, man. Howie's a great person.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they have a great time on Tuesday nights. They'll have a variety of topics throughout the course of a show, but there's some nights when they start digging into some of the music in the back and history of different things. And yeah, they leave me in a dust so far off the road on those things. It's like, goodness gracious.
He's my nerd brother too. He's very smart. He's very technical.
These guys they know their stuff and they have a good time with it. So you can go out to DJNTV.com/chill and hang out with the guys on a Tuesday night music show. They'll be starting that. They'll start the recording in about 15, 20 minutes here tonight. But you can go into that Zoom room, that chill room Zoom run, and chat a little bit and shut the cameras off while they do their recording and then bounce back in and have some fun tonight. So. And Ben, I think next week we'll be back again.
Sounds good. Bring it on.
Get that ice cream ready to go. So everyone have a wonderful evening. I'll go catch the guys and we will catch you next time. Good night, everybody.